In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can take image files from your Sketchup model and arrange them into a presentation to create a layout, and we'll be using a Google Drawing to do this. So I'm in my Sketchup model, and as you can see, there are some background images in the view. I'll probably need to delete those for the work that I'm going to start off doing, or I'll turn them off. What I want to do, though, is I want to go to some of the orthographic views. So these are two-dimensional views. In our default scenes, we have a plan view, we have a south, east, north, and west elevation. And when I give those compass orientations, we're making the assumption that north is up. Of course, in a project, you may, for some reason, need to alter that compass orientation. But in this video, I'll be referring to them in terms of those, the common compass orientations. So I'm going to go to the south elevation. And as you can see, one of my images here is showing up. I'm going to hide it. I'll hide all of them. If you don't need them anymore, you could also eliminate them. And I'm going to zoom in closer to the view. Okay, so here I am. Oops, go back. If you go into orbit, you'll alter that parallel projection. And by the way, for these elevations, you want to make sure you're set to parallel projection view instead of perspective. So I'm going back to parallel, right? And I'm going to zoom in a little closer. I'm going to type in H to kind of center it a little bit. And okay. So in preparation for bringing this into another file, I'm going to change some of the settings, but I'm also going to create some scenes for this once I get all the settings as I'd like them. So probably you want to choose a display style that works with the other images that you made. So right now I'm just in this default style here, but again, you may find that changing the style to something else is going to help your presentation to be a little bit more consistent. So if, for example, you used, let's see here, we can try out some of the other variations. This is a little bit more sketchy. Okay. I would say to just be consistent so the presentation looks like it was done by one hand. Okay, so for this presentation, I'll choose one and I'll use it for all of them. Okay, so I'm going to try using this one called, or that's Scribble on Masonite as a kind of a common display background. I may do another set of them using a different one just to kind of get a little comparison and make a choice. But for this illustration and for the remaining images, I'll use the same one. All right, so once you've selected that, you want to go to the eyeglasses. And, I don't see any of these right now, but they may appear in some of the views. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to turn off those. I'm going to uncheck those settings, and then I'm going to go to the scenes and I'm going to create a new scene called, we'll save that. I'm going to rename it. So it'll generate one by default, the next in the sequence. And I'm going to call this South Elevation. Okay. And it will retain the settings that are associated with it. So there we go. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to, before I go and do the next one, what I'll do is I'll just export or download rather the PNG file for this one. Okay, export as PNG. And just to kind of keep things straight, at some point I'll rename these. So I know that this one, instead of being pavilion number 5, is going to be the south elevation. Okay, if the file's big, it may take a while for this to complete. And you may find that you need to sort of turn off some of the components in your model to make it run a little bit faster. Okay, so I'm back in the scene. And now what I'm going to do is go back up, and now I'll work on the east elevation. Okay. Now there's an image in the back, and you may want to keep it depending on how it looks, but I think that the scale of it isn't going to work with this particular view. So I'm going to hide that image, and then I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer so I can see a little bit more detail. Okay, and don't worry too much about like how high it is in the view. When we take these images into the Google Drawing, we'll crop them to include only what we want to show. So same process, let's go to display. All of these are turned off. And I'm going to go to the scenes and create a new scene. And this one will be called the west elevation. Oops. Okay, so I can go to the south elevation and then go back to the west elevation. And I'll continue. I'll do a north view and in a west view using the same process. And generally speaking, I would try to make the image as large as you can within the view. Just realized that I had mistitled this one. This one should be the east elevation. And this one down here is going to be west. Okay, so when I go through them all, here's south, east, north, and west. All right, so now I've completed all 4 views and I have exported them as PNG files so that I can use them later. Next thing we're going to do is create a roof plan. So I'm going up to the plan view and I'll zoom out a little bit. And again, you want to make sure you are in the parallel projection. Otherwise, we'll start seeing things in perspective. Okay, and I'm going to set the same visual style to my scene here. Okay. And I was just checking to make sure all the layers are on, going to the display, and I'm going to turn off. I don't have any yet, but I'll turn these off. And I'll go ahead and create a scene for this. Scroll down, and I'm going to rename this one Roof Plan. So I can go to an elevation and then switch to the roof plan. Now, not much is going to show in this view because of my roof. It's concealing the floors below. So the next thing I'll do is create a floor plan.